Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today we have some more localizer bullshit, man. I got really interested in this specific topic because it featured one of my favorite rom-coms out there, which is Lovely Complex. We got Asmongold talking about the situation and what happened with it. I'm not sure exactly what is going on, but based on the title, maybe some localizers got what they deserved. I'm not sure if that's exactly the case, but we're gonna find out because I fucking love Lovely Complex, and I've never watched it dubbed. I've only watched it subbed, but now I know I never will because of if these people got their hands on it's going to be terrible by default. So, oh boy, what the hell did they do this time?
Localizers, what the duck is this? Another one of these drama things, more localizer drama. Oh my god. What is this? Localizers admit to changing script because the show sucked, and they made it good. Lovely Complex has a dub.
You gotta love hearing that. That's the nature of a lot of these groups and these people nowadays, is they're like, we don't like this thing. We hate the people who make it. We hate the people who watch it. It's disgusting. We can't stand it. So we're going to literally get into a job that puts us in a position where we can now represent this product, and we're going to fix it because it's all garbage. Everybody who likes it is garbage. But don't worry, guys. We're going to fix it. We're going to turn it into not garbage anymore. So that way all the normal good people can watch it now. Now it's good because we made it better. And I don't understand, like, how do these interviews go? Like, do they just play it up and pretend like they care about this stuff during the interviews, or do they literally go in and they're like, okay, why do you want to translate or localize for our company? It's like, well, because you make absolute garbage made for Nazis and pieces of trash, so we want to fix your garbage and make sure that it's properly made and do it the correct way. And they're just like, all right, you're hired. Come on in. Please fix our terrible work. Like, I don't understand how these people are getting hired. It blows my mind that this is happening.
Written by people who openly despise the script. In a now deleted post, Jelloapocalypse goes on a diatribe about how the series' problematic aspects and how Discotech media mostly let them do what they want. Oh fuck, I'm gonna have to zoom in on this. This, of course, includes running the rewritten script by sensitivity readers and hiring people from specific groups to join the cast rather than concerning themselves with telling the author's stories.
Sensitivity readers. Can you believe that's a fucking job description? That's a thing you can do. You can be a sensitivity reader. I don't want to live here anymore. I hate human beings so much. I fucking hate people so much. It is actually baffling. Every time I think my hatred of humans have reached its peak, I'm just like, you can't hate people more than this, right? Like, I'm basically about as hateful against stupid people as possible, right? Like, it can't get beyond this, right? And they just keep crawling out of their fucking holes, and they're just like, bro, trust me, we can do better. It brings us great shame to know that you feel like we have reached the pinnacle of stupidity. Trust me, we're going to work really hard to do much better, because trust me, it could get much worse than you could ever imagine.
So this is a quote from them. Lindsay passed the episode and its script by multiple trans sensitivity readers, and not only made sure to cast a trans person as Seiko, but also to cast as many of the trans actors who auditioned for the role of her as possible. I don't have an exact number, but I think Lovecom Dub has like something like 20 trans / I guess NB probably means non-binary actors in it. It's one of the transiest anime dubs in existence, if not the transiest. Trans rights.
Come on, bro. Like, come on. There's absolutely no problem with casting trans people to play whatever it is they're qualified for. No problem with that at all. But the problem really comes in, and things start to really get suspicious, when you are specifically seeking out exclusively one type of person to specifically hire for your political viewpoints or your agenda. Notice they didn't say anything about their ability. They didn't say anything about their qualifications, about whether or not they can perform the job or anything. It was just, we want to get as many of this group of people on this project as possible because it verifies our political and social beliefs. This is what I'm saying, man. Like, this is not cool. It's just not cool at all. It's an immediate red flag.
Well, I'm glad to see that somebody decided to use another person's intellectual property and work as a platform for them to spread their agenda.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank fucking God. Thank God that the world is a platform for them to express what they want to think with the world. I feel like any normal person who's like a progressive thinker should be very much against this, because this alienates a lot of normal people. This makes people bigoted. It's making...
Yes, this is the very thing right here that puts out into the world that trans people are crazy. It puts out in the world that y'all are unreasonable, that you only care about your agendas, that you're trying to indoctrinate people. This is the narrative that you should be fighting against. This was the same thing that happened with the black community and a lot of stuff that happened with BLM and all that stuff like that. It was the same issue. You had all the bad actors front and center, and no matter how legitimate you wanted to be, no matter how legitimate you wanted to appear, it didn't work because so many people would exclusively see these bad actors, and that was it. They were just like, oh, this group is crap. They're not actually fighting for anything or doing anything important, because look at who they got front and center. Look at the spokespeople for your group. And normally the way people should think, there shouldn't be a specific person or people who you focus on that should represent an entire group. But this is what y'all present them as. You present them as the spokespeople of your group, the people who talk, speak, and act on your behalf. So in this instance, we have no reason to think of them as anything else, because you prop them up, you openly support them, and you refuse to speak out against them. So what does that mean? What else does that mean? It's...
all of you look bad. And also further confirms the dishonest practice of Western anime companies. They hide any changes that would upset anime fans because the audience is full of horrible human beings who criticize them for overriding the creator's work. Of note, the most anime distributors do tend to ask that you don't, quote, advertise changes like making things less transphobic. Well, yeah, because people are buying that anime, and that's just what the anime is. This is because large swaths of the anime community are racist, sexist, or transphobic, and will descend upon a company's social media page for weeks for the string.
Listen to this bullshit. Large swaths of the community, of the entire anime community, are all racist, sexist, and transphobic. These are the people you have translating and trying to localize the anime. People who hate the community as a whole. They hate the medium and they hate the community, and these are the people you want representing the changes and the localization of your anime. And they're saying that these companies are openly and willingly allowing this to happen. They literally go in and say, we know you're going to do this, just don't brag about it and don't talk about it. Go ahead and ruin our works. Go ahead and translate our work into something that it's not. Go ahead and, quote unquote, fix our art and the stuff that we made. Just don't talk about it. Just don't brag about it. But these people are all fucking narcissists, so you know they're going to brag about it. That's the whole reason they do what they do. They walk around and present themselves as the biggest victims this world has ever seen, but they are bullies, they're narcissists, and they will do literally anything to get what they want.
Strangest of things. Discotech added a content warning for one of their discs and got flack for that, so they're understandably a little skittish now. Funimation and Crunchyroll works like this too. TLDR, most anime distributors don't care if you make things nicer or more gay or add more representation.
Listen to the wording. If you make things nicer or more gay, if you make them more gay or add more representation, none of these things are a part of a localizer's job description. Not a single one of them. But it says most anime distributors don't care if you do this. Not a single one of these things is a part of your actual job description. Everything you just listed there, none of it is a part of your job description. You're not localizing and translating to make it more nice. They don't pay you to make it more gay or to add representation. They're paying you to translate and localize. That's it. It's crazy, dude. This is fucking insane.
They just asked if you don't flaunt the changes or use buzzwords. Well, you're genuinely not allowed to say hot button words like sexism or patriarchy anymore in most Funimation dubs unless it's already in the subtitles, because those words are words that brain-dead weebs can get mad at and share on various image boards.
Brain-dead weebs. Listen how they talk about anybody who criticizes anything that they do. These people have no flaws. They have no faults. They are absolutely perfect in every way. Everything they do is 100% justified at all times, and anybody who disagrees with me is automatically a bad person. What does that sound like? Does that sound familiar to anybody? That type of framework where an authoritarian regime has decided that they are the end all be all on morality, and literally anybody who goes against that is a heretic that needs to be slapped down. That doesn't ring a bell to anybody. That doesn't sound like anything you may have heard of before.
I guess they're talking about my video. These people are activists. They're not localizers. They're activists. And like, I'm just really kind of shocked that, like, why would anybody be okay with this? Why would anybody like this? And I think that really, like, these people need to get reined in by the other people that are on that same spectrum as they are. Because, like, you should see that
And that right there, that is an excellent point. It doesn't matter if people like me or Asmongold or other people speak out against these people. You're preaching to the choir. Everybody, we already know this. And repeating it to ourselves and to everybody else who agrees is not going to change anything. It needs to be other trans activists and other groups that are, you know, consider themselves a part of these groups. They need to be the ones to come out and speak against this, because it means more coming from them. Because if it comes from people like us, of course those disgusting Nazis would think that. Of course they would be against it. They're heretics. Like, why would they not? You know, why would they not behave the way that heretics behave? Like, of course, that's what they think. But if you consider yourself any form of activist and you're a part of these groups and you see them doing shit like this, it is imperative to the optics of your group that you say something about it, that you speak out against it. Unless you're just complacent and you just want to be a part of it. I mean, if you got bigger problems and it's not really your concern and this is something you don't care about, then that's fine. But if you do care, if you do claim to be an activist and you do want the people in your designated group to have a better image, then you have a responsibility to do something about it.
Companies like Crunchyroll are now supposedly avoiding terms they think will anger the audience. Even if true, this fails to address the issue. It's not the words in and of themselves. It's the fact that it's an incorrect rewrite rather than a translation, which is exactly true. That's 100% what the problem is. These people will admit to rewriting the script because they hated it and then act as though those who want the original work to be faithfully translated are acting unreasonable. The only unreasonable part is hiring someone who despises the source material.
Exactly. That is the main part to me. Where it's like these people are like, okay, my job is to translate and to localize this thing. To literally take the meaning and the context and put it in a context for people over here to understand. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to completely do the opposite, and I'm going to change the context and make it something that I agree with and something I prefer for this show to say. That's what I'm going to do instead. And then they do that and people see it and they're like, this is not the context of the show. Like, this is completely different than what the show's original intent was. And they're like, oh my God, look at all these fucking Nazis being unreasonable. Look how unreasonable these terrible monsters are, trying to get us to properly do our jobs and do what we were paid to do. This is why we hate the anime community. This is why we hate these people, because they're disgusting. And they want us to be beholden to these companies and do what they're paying us to do. It's bullshit. These people are monsters. Like, really? We're the unreasonable ones because we literally just want the show translated with the proper context. And you're saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change the show and insert my political beliefs into it instead. We're unreasonable.
Forsake yourself is in the end supposed to be transcendent. It's just terribly done. 2007 pro-trans writing. Yeah, and there's a lot of things that were terribly done many times, right? It's like the, what do you call it? Like old South Park episodes, you could say are like super politically incorrect now. Like, and I'm not making a judge. This isn't a personal judgment. This is just what people think. And so, some people at least. My point is that you don't recreate things for modern sensibilities because they weren't written in the modern age. Everything is a product of its time. And in 2007, the culture had a different perspective on trans people at that time. So if you write it as if that wasn't the case, you actually take away the value of the growth of the culture over that time. I think that you're actively like, it is, in my opinion, I think that it's very good that the culture has changed a lot in terms of how it accepts, like, for example, gay people. Like, whenever I was in elementary school, I didn't understand why gay people couldn't get married. I was like, well, this seems fucking stupid. But everybody else was in agreement that this is the way it should be. I remember talking about it with people, like, and like adults around me, and I was like, this is, what the fuck? Why? And by the time that I got older, well, they changed that. And now you can be gay and get married. And I think that really the fact that people were massively homophobic then, that should be acknowledged and known, because it goes to show how far we've come.
Right, but that goes against their narrative. We're not supposed to be talking about how far we've come, because according to these people and these activists, nothing has changed. Ask modern activists right now who fought, who, you know, are supposed to be representing the people who wanted to fight against things like slavery and everything like that or whatever. Ask them how much progress we made. They will tell you that today, right now, we are basically still slaves in America and nothing has changed. Everything that everyone has died for throughout history to get us where we are today, none of it is relevant because nothing has changed. They'll tell you right now. Erasing that context is crucial to them because they have to be the biggest victims. We are the biggest victims. Nobody has it worse than us. Our lives are terrible. Everything is terrible around us. We have no rights. We have no nothing. But then look at how much power they wield. Look how much power they have over these companies, over these corporations, over these game developers, over these movie makers, over all of media, the news, how much influence and power they have to completely change narratives. They have no power, no influence, no nothing, but literally everybody is bowing down to them. Everybody is folding and allowing them to do whatever they want.
But, I mean, what else is there besides that? It was kind of because of a Christian church and only has one narrative, that it's for a man and a woman. Yeah, but, like, the marriage is recognized by a state and not a church, so it's different. I don't think that a church should have to marry a gay couple, of course.
But here's the thing about that, though. The whole narrative behind that is like, okay, the churches had this one rigid view. They had this one designated viewpoint, and they pushed it off on everybody. Everybody had to either accept it, and if you didn't, for some reason, you were an abomination. Sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? One centralized group having a viewpoint that they impose on everybody, and anybody who dares to question it for any reason is an abomination? Or is a heretic? Weird. It's kind of interesting how one group had that and it was bad, and now another group currently has that exact same power and influence, and all of a sudden it's good.
As not true to the original fuckers, I don't care what they think. The trick is to change the intention of the characters to something that makes sense for them while keeping the intention of the overall story. Yeah, these are people that are trying to, lots of sweaty racist nerd boys got mad about that one, oh, the Dragon Maid thing, because they didn't want woke politics in their titty show. Yeah, that's right. Pretty much.
Look at the way, like I said, look at the way that they talk about the community. Look at the way that they refer to the community. It has nothing to do with that. It genuinely has nothing to do with that, because if that was the original context of the person who made it, let's go back in time. The person who originally wrote the script and made Dragon Maid, if that line was what they wrote word for word and you just translated it, this wouldn't have even been a problem. This wouldn't have been a problem at all. If that was Locua's character, if that was just the way she was and the way that she talked and how she genuinely felt, and it matched her character because this is the way that the original intent was for her to be, it would not be a problem. The only reason it is a problem right now is because that was not her character. It is not the type of person she is, and it was not the intent of the writer who originally wrote her that way. You changed her into that character. You added that extra, or you changed the context of that situation and made it match your political beliefs. That's why it's a problem. There have been feminist-like characters in all kinds of anime. And as long as the context of that character was established and we knew that that's who they were, then that's just who they were. This wouldn't even be a controversy if this was the original intent of the original writer. But they're so good at moving the goalpost and deflecting. They're building up these fucking straw man arguments, and this is what they're perfect at. They build up this straw man of an argument that is literally not even close to what people were even referring to or talking about, and then they battle that thing. They completely ignore it, but then again, they're literally bragging about removing context from something and changing it to something else. This is what they're good at. It's part of their profession. So of course they do that when they're arguing against them doing the very same thing. They literally, for a living, they take people's intellectual works and change them to whatever they want to be. So it's only natural that when somebody puts up an argument against that, they do the same thing to that person's argument. Localizing the arguments of their opponents.
Get out. I mean, I don't know what else we're doing. This new opportunity to add new jokes. Otani asks for a more contemporary compliment. Risa compliments him 3 times with 3 pieces of slang that are immediately dated but from different decades. For the Win is 2000s, Epic is late 2000s and early 2010s, and Poggers, while being contemporary, is also really dated and will probably fall out of popular use soon.
Who cares? Lovely fucking Complex was made years ago. It says Lovely Complex aired April 7th, 2007. Naturally, it's going to be a product of its time. Like that, of course it's going to be a product of its time. That's when it was made.
Wow, these guys are so cool. Why do these people feel like it's okay to change an author's writing? Because they think they have the moral authority to do it. That's why. And once people think they have the moral authority to do something, that justifies any action they take. It's actually pretty simple. We canonically wrote and directed Risa as a psychopath who doesn't understand empathy. Frankly, having a dub come out this good in the end is a little frustrating. Anyone who watched this show as a kid has fond memories of it and revisits the dub and think, wow, it's just as good as I remembered. No, it isn't. We made it good. The show sucked.
Literally anybody who watched the show back then, who are going to look at the dub, are going to immediately know how much you guys injected your rhetoric into it because they fucking seen it before. And they know that you literally changed the concept. We canonically wrote and directed Risa as a psychopath who doesn't understand empathy. You literally changed her into a completely different person. And then they think because they're so cocky and because they're so fucking narcissistic, they're going to be like, yeah, people are going to see this and be like, oh my God, this is so much better than what the original people wrote, because the garbage that the people who made this thing, the garbage they wrote was trash. The only reason this show is even valid or relevant now is because we fixed it.
I mean, you could say that for, like, you know, people said that about the Boys comic, right? But the difference is that the show's better. I think that it's always easy to say this, but like, is this something that you think, or is this something that the audience thinks? Because it seems to me like it's something that they think.
Yeah, no, but they speak for the audience, though. They speak for the audience. This is the way that they operate. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. What anybody else thinks is completely irrelevant. They could stand in front of a room of 100,000 people and say, this is the universal truth, this is what I think, and this is the way it is. And everybody in that room can say, no, we disagree with you. And they'd be like, well, you're all just fucking Nazis and pieces of shit. Because I am definitively right, period. That's it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I will never, there is nothing you can do. Bring me every human being on this planet and have them walk up to me in my face and tell me I'm wrong. I will still be correct, because there is no universe, there is no planet, there is no timeline where I can be incorrect. I am the end all be all when it comes to morality. I am right 100% of the time, and it is literally impossible for that not to be true. This is how these people operate.
This is their own, this is a decision that they've decided. Oh my God. And apparently they've made an update. Discotech has even replied to this. Our statement regarding a contractor who worked on the lovely English dub. Oh my God. We're aware of the comments made by a contractor that worked on Lovely Complex. The English version was made with the supervision and approval of the show's original producers. Dubs commonly punch up comedy and smooth over rough patches so the end product aligns with the show's intended audience and provokes the intended response. And there will always be shades of gray with adapting a work, and so present as little alteration as possible. We are deeply disappointed at this individual's lack of professional discretion and will not be working with him in the future. I think this is a huge fucking W.
Now, that's a little conflicting to me. That's a little conflicting to me because apparently, based on what he just said, Dubs, it says the English version was made with the supervision and approval of the show's original producers, which means they greenlit this and said it's completely fine. And now they're saying they're deeply disappointed at the individual's lack of professional discretion, which means we don't have a problem with what they did and the way that they changed the show. We have a problem with the fact that they are bragging about it. That's what our problem is. That is deeply fucking concerning to me. And I agree, there will always be shades of gray when adapting a work. Anyone expecting exact fealty to the Japanese dialogue should be watching the subtitles, which is true. Obviously, that's the whole point of the localization. It's not going to be a one-to-one because anybody knows if you directly translate Japanese to English directly without any contextual differences, then you will know that it most of the time won't make sense. But that's not the point. Because your job is to just make it make sense, not change the meaning of it altogether. If you were just translating it and making it make sense and putting it in a dialect that we can understand, that wouldn't be an issue. The issue is you are completely changing the context and completely altering the message that's supposed to be being delivered.
Rip Bozo. This statement is so dog shit, man. They didn't fire him for changing that shit. They fired him for getting caught. No, they probably didn't even give a fuck or care to begin with. And now they found out about it. They're like, okay, you're out. Like, they can't probably expect or know about all this stuff. Yeah, they said they agree with realigning dubs to cultural differences. Well, what? No. You have to understand what they're saying. They're saying that this is what the purpose of having localization is. Because the idea of changing like slang from like Japanese slang to American slang, that's what localization is supposed to do. Localization is supposed to change the words without changing the meaning. But they're clearly drawing a distinction between that type of localization and what this person is doing, because they said that they're disappointed in their individual's lack of professional discretion. So that they're clearly not saying that. And also, I mean, they're probably not able to look at every single thing ahead of time. I think this is pretty much a W. We're fixing it. Yeah. That's. I think this is the best response they could have.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I feel like that's a little too optimistic of a view, personally. But, you know, I don't know. Because these people are everywhere. They're everywhere. And these companies do know, they are aware of the changes and stuff that are being made, and they are green lighting them. This is not just it's Crunchyroll, it's Funimation, it's movies, it's video games. This isn't an isolated issue. This is a problem all over any media that comes into America. So like I don't know. I don't know if I can be that optimistic about it, to be perfectly honest.
That's how it works. Anyway, yes, that's pretty much it. That's what my perspective is. That's what I think. I'm going to be honest. I think these people are doing a massive disservice to their causes. I think that they are radicalizing people against them. I think that they are completely insufferable. And I think that they're hurting the exact thing that they're trying to help.
They may be doing all that, and that all may be true, but it's all intentional. Because the moment the problem is solved, the moment the thing you are fighting against is fixed, you no longer have any leverage. And they need leverage in order to make money. They need leverage in order to gain influence. They need leverage in order to get votes. This is the same way that all of this stuff works. The problem will never be fixed, because there are always people who have an invested interest and who directly benefit from said problem. And that is on both sides of any given problem. The race hustlers need people to believe that black people will forever be enslaved, will forever be oppressed, and will forever, be disenfranchised, because that's how they make their money. That's how they get their influence, and that's how they get their votes. They don't actually want to fix it. They just want to talk about fixing it forever, because people will always run to those type of causes to try to help out, and they will do anything they can to help out. But when the goal is not to actually fix the problem, you have a perpetual money-making machine that never dies and never goes out. When you look at political parties and they complain about things like taxes, they will do everything to talk about how rich people aren't paying enough taxes, how you need to do this with taxes, and taxes are like this and taxes are like that. But they will never, ever do the thing that they need to do in order to fix that, which is change the law. No matter how long we talk about taxes and how they're distributed and all that stuff and how they should be distributed or whatever, the one thing that the people in charge will never, ever do is the one thing that will fix that problem. They'll never do it. They'll talk about it all day and complain about it. They'll come up with strategy meetings or whatever, but they always make sure that the solution is never in reach. That's how they operate.
It's like, remember what I said about how I thought that there are like oil unions and shit like that, these like oil conglomerates that are paying losers to throw paint on photos and like paintings to like make fossil fuels look good by painting environmentalists as being ridiculous. I feel like these people are doing the same thing, but they're doing it for free. It's crazy, man. Woke cultists desperate for power and control? Well, everybody's desperate for power and control. These are just people that have it right now. That's really all there is to it. I've not heard about the jelloapocalypse in ages. This is how I'm reminded of them. I don't even know what this is. It seems like most of the blame is on Jello. Never heard of the anime. I don't know. Imagine if painting restorers work would say the original drawing was ugly and it sucked anyway. So I made it better. you know what the picture is going to be. Well, it literally says Eki Homo, right? But you know what it is. It's the difference between, oh my god, between the original meaning and the localization, apparently. Oh my god.
Yeah, man, this shit pisses me off. It makes me so fucking angry. Just talking and thinking about this shit, man. I just don't get it. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm just gonna be mad about it, and that's all I can really do. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one.